This program is brought to you by the Media Liberty Alliance Foundation in cooperation with OBBM Network TV, bringing citizen-led, creative local media to the forefront of local communities to foster a greater understanding of constitutional liberty and appreciation of what makes us truly free, starting with you and me.
The Zach Ratliff Show is sponsored by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Exceed Health Clinic, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. That way you're updated each time fresh content comes out. And thank you for being part of the Zach Ratliff Show. Hello and welcome to the Zach Ratliff Show. I'm Zach. This is Dale.
Hey gang, back again.
Back again. We've used some survived 2026's snow episode for around here.
Ice episode, man.
Yeah. You know, I like that ice is going around the country, but I just don't like it in this form. Right?
Yeah, get ice out of here.
Sound like a real liberal these days, Dale.
I'm telling you. Well, if you had to walk out of my yard, you'd understand.
Oh, that's exactly right. We were clearing parking lots from family businesses last night until dark, and had tractor there, and then neighbor had his skid steer there, and just trying to make it happen. Flat tip shovels, trying to make walkways right, and still weren't able to open one of the businesses, but one we were, and just because people are so litigious. If somebody, if you're worried about slipping, don't get out. But
exactly,
and so it's just like, is it even worth opening for somebody to slip and then sue you? Well, if you knew it was ice.
Well, for one thing, nobody's going to visit me out where I live.
Right.
But, I still got to get out. I got to get more firewood in.
Right.
Thought I laid in enough, but, man, we burned through a lot.
Especially in a 5-day stretch when it's so cold. It's amazing how much you'll go through.
And I let the dogs out, and they're, like, slipping down the stairs and such. I'm like, oh, my God. I go out there, I'm 67 years old. I'm moving like I'm 87 because I don't want to slip out there on those steps.
Yeah, that's not what I need. You calling me to come to DCAB to get you.
Yeah, really.
Now, talking about dogs, you have German Shepherds and I have a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
And mine is I picked her up in Oklahoma, but she'll be 4 this year. But this is her first snow. And so my daughter and I were watching her go through it and go through the ice and try to figure things out, and understanding that she's a German Shepherd and they can handle cold weather, but she also sleeps inside.
Yeah.
And so anyway, you lost a dog, man. That's a heartbreaking deal.
I lost my gunner. Had to take him to the vet on Friday.
Yeah.
For the last couple of weeks, I spent $1,000 trying to get different things for him.
We talked about it off air, I think, last week about getting him a wheelchair. And how old was he? 14?
He's 10 years old.
10, okay.
But my gunner was my best 4-legged friend I ever had.
Yeah.
And watching him, still bright-eyed, but he just couldn't move, and he's 110 pounds.
Once those hips go out on and I grew up with a German Shepherd that lived to be, was he 12, or maybe that's where I got the 14 from. But same type deal, and even we were able to have someone come out to the house and do it, but he was sitting there watching. He's like, we bought him as a squirrel dog, and he got heartworms early on. Dad had brought him into the house to, just to give him medicine. We figured he was going to die, but let him die in peace, and when he was like 4.
Yeah.
And anyway, then as he's getting better, because we just bought him from an old dog trader up in the mountains of Arkansas. Then we realized this dog's going to the door and wants out. And then we realized he knows how to shake, and then he knows how to sit, and he'll heel. And then you realize somebody was just hard up for some money and sold this dog to this dog trader for a quick few hundred, or however much. It wasn't $100, I promise you, but money. And that's when I learned to love German Shepherds, because golly, they're
incredible.
They're incredible. They're in your business.
Yeah.
But
Well, we lost our lab, Daisy. She literally ate herself to death. She ate a ham bone and it got caught in her digestive tract.
No.
And before we could get her operated on her, she passed. And
yeah.
it broke us up pretty good. She was definitely Mary's dog. And my pastor down in Seabrook, he goes, hey, I got a breeder that he'd like, you ought to see about getting a puppy for him. And I'm like, okay, well, how much is it? And he goes, $4,000. I'm like, $4,000? I can't do $4,000.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And he goes, well, listen, I talked to this guy. I explained how you are politically and what you do and everything. He's willing to come down to $1,000 for this dog. I mean, this dog has a pedigree.
Yeah.
Way long. And I said, I've never spent $1,000 on a dog.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, okay. So we had Gunner, and he came from Kansas City, and he came in a crate and flew him in and picked him up at the airport. He's a little land shark right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Best dog I ever had. And we've had adventures for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And like I said, he was my buddy. He's an inside dog, but, his favorite thing was working with me or riding in the mule.
Yeah.
He loved to ride in the mule. And I think he wanted to drive, basically.
Oh, for sure.
But, for the last couple weeks, he really, really declined. I mean, I've seen it for a couple months, and and I said I'd never spent $1,000 on a dog puppy before. I spent $1,000 just trying to make him better,
Right.
to where he could still stay.
Yeah.
And it became apparent the last Thursday and Friday that he was done. I couldn't.
Right.
He's 110 pounds. I'm not as strong as I used to be. I couldn't lift him.
Yeah.
I mean, I would walk him and I would put a sling on his belly and basically support his hind end while we went out walking.
Right.
And, but, it got to where he couldn't go out to the restroom. And we spent the night out in the living room Thursday night.
Yeah.
We tried to get the vet to come and have him there in the living room with his family, with the other dogs.
Yeah.
But with everything going on, the vet and decab just could not make it out there. So I asked one of my good friends to come help me load him up Friday morning, and we took him down there. And, I hate it when politicians and crying and such, but I'm a human being.
Well,
And I lost one of my best friends ever.
I took a class in college called Death and Dying, and of course I grew up. My grandfather was a watermelon farmer, but he drove heavy equipment, and but we always had hunting dogs. My dad, we always had hunting. We've got a kennel full of squirrel dogs now, and but those old guys, they treated those dogs a little bit different, and if you know, that's just kind of the world I grew up in. And,
they were working dogs and they were animals.
but once one, that dog I was telling you about, our German Shepherd, that was the first dog that I had that was like our like part of the family dog.
Family.
And so that. And I remember, because like I said, we brought him in to just treat him for heartworms, and then once that changes, like, oh, this is different.
It is.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Totally.
Because even my daughter asked me, she's like, "What about the dogs in the cages?" Which is a nice kennel. Don't get me wrong. Concrete bottom. Got a drain in it. We can. I mean, they're well taken care of.
Yes.
But those are hunting dogs.
Right.
And so just the differentiation, or even like our dog. Our German Shepherd, well, she's a little over 105 pounds. And even here's what's funny. When I bought her, I took her to our vet that we use down here. And, she's my divorce dog, right?
Yeah.
And but when Nori had wanted a dog, and so we went and got her, and we went and got her, and anyway, I get to the vet, and he's like, "You think you bought a 75-pound female German Shepherd?" He's like, "This is a giant German Shepherd. she's gonna be 100+ pounds, and she's every bit of it."
Oh yeah.
And but golly, they're so full of life, and they just become, like you said, part of the family. Which, once again, early in life, I didn't know that part of dog, because my grandpa's a hard man.
Yeah.
And not that he didn't love me,
Oh, yeah.
love our family, and but he's one of those, worked in Saudi Arabia on the drag lines, and he's born in 1930, and they just lived a hard life,
Right.
And so dogs were tools.
Yeah.
And so to see one become family, that's, and my dog's definitely family now. Like when I for some reason, she didn't sleep at the end of my bed last night. She slept in the floor, and I got up to go to the bathroom this morning at like 4. And
Welcome to the club.
And I ran into her, and she kind of growled at me, and I'm like, "You're the one laying in the floor."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know whose fault this is, but this is my path.
Yeah.
She's got a bed. She can either sleep at the end of my bed or in her bed.
Right.
Or when my daughter's home, she's in her room.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm here I'm arguing with a dog. I'm like, "Hey, you're the one who messed up." And then I'm like, "Well, this is a dog. Who am I talking to?"
Yeah. Well, you talk to him, like, I'm telling you, my gunner, he understood English sometimes better than me. Yeah. And you could talk to him and he would get it. This dog, I mean, the biggest of the 3 German Shepherds we got, he was the escape artist. He's like a mouse. He could squeeze through a crack,
Right.
He would go out and pick out rocks from our property, from our driveway and such, and bring them up on the porch and arrange them in circles and lines. And then he'd go back to them and rearrange them again.
Yeah.
He was artistic. And it was like that dog was so smart. And
Right.
It's just, it's hard. I mean, I love just being home and being snuggled in with the pantry and the firewood and all that stuff, but it felt different this week. I got 2 other dogs and the house felt empty.
Yeah, well, the dogs noticed too. Well, I'm an outdoorsman. I hunt and fish and all the things, but God, Adam named all the animals.
Yes.
And all that, and then we were to be stewards of God's creation,
Right.
And with dogs, He gave us that, and not that we aren't to care for all the other animals, when we are, and like, I'm just an outdoor enthusiast. I love the world that God has given us, and He's let us reign over, but so I understand having that dog and having. It's like, this is part of your family, and they're supposed to be.
Yes.
And because they will take care of you, and I bet you've got 1,000 stories where Gunner did something to move you or a family member out of the way. And,
Absolutely.
I mean, because that's one of mine is from the German Shepherd we had growing up, was there were 2 giant mastiffs in the yard across from us. Well, my stepmom had a little Chihuahua. And those things are mouthy. Yeah. Well, our German Shepherd was solid black that we had, and those mastiffs. Well, that Chihuahua was just over there at the edge of and we had a long driveway. He lived in the middle of 4 acres, and so but the Chihuahua was just over there yapping just because they were outside doing something or whatever. Well, anyway, turns out the gate wasn't locked for those mastiffs, so they just come rolling after that Chihuahua, and of course it's running right back. It's going to hide behind my stepmom. So this dog, he comes off the porch, grabs one of those mastiffs on a full run, and just rolls him. And then just keeps running. He's like, I'm not going to say entangle with you, but gave her enough time to get inside. Right. Because German Shepherds, they're shepherding all the time. They're watching everything going on, no matter if they are or not.
Right, and it's just their blessing. And I prayed a lot last week.
Yeah.
I prayed to make him better. I prayed to give me strength to help him. And, it's like, okay, can I have him in a wheelchair for a couple more years? Yeah.
Right.
I just prayed.
Which I know somebody who had not a German Shepherd, but a dog in a wheelchair. And I remember when they told me that, I'm like, at first I'm like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard of. Then I'm like, but you love your dog and you want him around, so I get it.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, and as long as I was out there walking him and supporting his hind end,
right.
I figured, okay, wheelchair will work.
Yeah, same
and then
thing.
It got to the last few days, and it's like he wouldn't even try.
Yeah,
he's
tired.
He's tired, and he's not going to do it. And I don't think the wheelchair is the answer now. And
right.
So I changed my prayers from that to saying, I called my pastor from Seabrook. And I asked him, and I said, is there a chance I get to see my dog in heaven?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. He goes, we have a God of all creation. He gave us companionship because when we die and we move on to heaven, whatever it is, he says, I think there's going to be trees and nature, and there'll be birds in the sky and animals. And he goes, if God wants you to have him, he will be there for you.
Right.
And that's what I pray before I go out. All my dogs, and I love many dogs.
Yeah.
But this is the one. I go, if I wanted a companion through eternity to wander around creation, I want Gunner by my side.
Right.
And, some people go, having them wait at the Rainbow Bridge, that type of thing, or they're out there playing, chasing butterflies or whatever, and you show up. The way I want it to be is when I get to heaven, I go there and Gunner's there, and he wakes up. The first thing he sees is me.
Yeah. Well, holding the Bible as truth, which I do. It's very clear, especially in Revelation. Well, it isn't clear about Revelation, I guess. But there will be 1,000-year kingdom on earth. And then there will be a short time. And then all that goes away, and there's a new heaven and a new earth. And that's where we go.
Yeah.
Well, and it's supposed to be like the beginning. And then in the beginning, we were in the Garden of Eden with the animals, with the trees, with all that. So there, obviously, I don't know.
Right.
But we're definitely going to be on Earth, or a new Earth, a new creation that's like the Garden of Eden, where everything's perfect with animals, and so I could only guess.
That's what
that's
my hope.
I mean that just makes sense in my mind. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you have a new friend there, a new dog, and that's okay. But I don't. Well, here's what I know.
There's nothing that God can't do.
Right, and whatever God is going to do is right.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I just this is me, Dale Huls, earthly guy.
Yeah,
wanting this.
I think your pastor's right. I think there's a shot at it.
Yeah, I do.
Because the Bible teaches that, hey, we're going to a new heaven and a new earth, a new creation. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't talk about that. It doesn't even talk about really human relationships in heaven.
Right.
That for that matter. And it's like but you hear the stories of people hoping to be reunited with their loved ones, and I hope all that's true too.
Yeah. Because
there's many people I love that have passed on, and my mom last year, and or the year before. Well, it was last year, and it's just. But I'm just sorry to be.
No, man.
All teary and such this morning, but and I usually I'm like a rock throwing Republican, it's just this is just different.
Hey, this is real life, and this is what happens. I'm not glad you came in with this, but I think this is the reality of life, that we all go through stuff, right? And we all go through. Now, we know that the goal is to improve the local Republican Party, and our goal is to lead people to Jesus Christ through how we live, and then we'll get to some of that here in a minute.
And live the lives that He expects us to live.
Right. But I've got a thing that I've said for years, and I don't know if I'm backing off of it now or not. I turned 40 this year, so you start thinking about things a little bit differently. You're not so.
Yeah, I remember way back then.
but it's true, right? You testosterone's still rolling, but you're not as jumpy as what you once were, and my brother killed himself when I think I was 21, which would have made him 22, and God, that was so much. And I used to say, and I still hold to this, I think, I know that he's in heaven. And we got saved at the same time on the same day in the same church and got baptized one right after the other.
Yeah.
I mean, now I understand that that's just the start of a relationship and people can go forward and backwards, but I know that he's going to be in heaven. And I have no doubt that I will be in heaven. And not for anything that I've done other than ask Jesus Christ into my life, because that's the only way you get there. Yeah,
grace is the only way.
And then you got to stick with him. Let's don't can't just keep doing the same thing. I was watching anyway. I'm going to rabbit hole, but I was watching something earlier about how you can do that, but you can't keep doing the same thing, and that's true too. But anyway, I know my brother will be there. He had some struggles, which led to suicide. The first thing I'm going to do, and I think this is going to be allowed, is I'm going to punch him right in the nose.
I've heard you say that before, I think.
I'm going to hit him right in the nose. Be like, why did you put us through this?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to give him the biggest hug and say, I love you and I've missed you every day.
You know what, Zach? When you meet your brother in heaven, I don't think you're going to punch him in the nose.
I know. That's why I'm mad. I don't think I'm even going to want to punch him in the nose now.
You're going to hug him and you're going to be glad.
I'm going to tell him that I told a lot of people.
I'm glad we're both here.
Yeah, because that's what I'm going to tell him. I'm like, I told everybody I was going to punch you in the nose, but I'm just so good. And here's the funny story about my brother. He always liked to fight. And he used to go around and try to get in so many fights. And he was a year older than me. But I worked out, and so when things got tough, who did he call?
Yeah.
and so it was always me.
Yeah.
I was always the one that came, that showed up. Like, yeah, let's do this. And so, I don't think I'm going to punch him in the. But I used to take peace in knowing that I get to hit him, but I love him so because for so long I was so mad about that.
Well, I've lost 4 brothers.
Yeah.
2 stepbrothers and 2 blood brothers.
Uh-huh.
And if they make it to heaven, I will be so happy and so glad to see them, because everyone was a loss here.
Yeah.
Everyone will be a gain there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just, coming off this weekend and everything, my emotions are still raw and such over this. It's just like, there is a better place for us.
Yeah.
But we're charged here and now. Try to make it better here.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is our race.
We're not just passive observers.
Right.
That's not what we're supposed to be.
Right. It's not that we have an uncaring God, and it's not that we're pinballs and we bounce off bumpers and flippers all the time. We get to say in what we do and how we live our lives and what we champion and what we ignore. Yes. And those are all those things that we do, and that's why I'm here every weekend, every Wednesday with you, is to talk about these things. And most of the time it's raw politics, and
but it's okay to acknowledge that life happens. Well, even yesterday I came in and did a show, and snow on the ground, it's hard to get here, and all the things, and this kind of gets to that is Democrats are Democrats, and Republicans are usually just Democrats that lie to you, and and all that aside, if you want everything to be fixed, you better put Jesus in the mix.
That's right.
If you want to feel better about Gunner being gone, the only thing that's going to give you hope in that is the fact that Jesus is king.
I have that hope, and I have that belief.
Right.
I still have a hole in my heart.
That's right. And we're allowed to. We're supposed to. But where I was going with that is, if you want politics to fix, we need Christly people in county chair positions, in precinct chair positions, in mayoral positions or city council positions and school board positions and state board of education. And you can work your way up to every level. We're so under attack right now. We're being so marginalized and told not to talk about politics, not to bring your morals into politics, not to bring your faith into politics. What are you bringing into politics then?
Listen, politics is all about morality. Don't let anybody tell you different.
Lack thereof.
And the lack thereof. Well, morality or immorality.
Yeah.
Either way. I mean, there's no vacuum out there.
No.
You know, just a few weeks ago, I did a What is a Republican on my own radio show.
Yeah.
And, you know, went into that. And it's like, you know, we talk
Less
about
Austin, more Texas.
Less Austin, more Texas, Spotify.
Yeah.
And, but the thing is, you know, often we're saying, well, what is a Republican? And what do you stand for? I goes, what is basically the Republican platform and beliefs, on the most part, they're all based on biblical principles.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, my morality comes from God, not from a party,
Right.
not from a government.
And if our party gets away from that, I will no longer be with
Absolutely, I will be an independent. I'll be something. I'll be with God.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's the bottom line, and that's why we go to our conventions every 2 years, and we try to put those godly principles, those values, you know, into our platform. And so, you know, now a lot of them are, you know, it's like, you know, should we have licensing for barbers and such? You know, it's like, okay,
Right.
That's not a biblical principle. You know, that's a government thing, you know, but it's a more of a freedom thing. But it all basically gets right down to it. What do you believe in?
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in a higher power, if you only believe in yourself, well, then you are your own God in your own mind.
Right. And that's what I was about to say. I promise you have a God in your life. It may not be Jesus Christ, but it could be the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Or it could be climate. It could be whatever.
But the thing is, your morality is of your own making.
Yeah.
And you can change it.
Right.
With God, you can't change morality.
That's right.
It is, you know, most people know in their heart of hearts what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and where does that come from? Well, that comes from the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
In my mind, giving you a sense of what is right and wrong.
Right.
And if you are so psychotic or a Democrat and, you know, and you don't believe in any of that, well, you can go out there and whatever you say is right and everything else you don't believe in is wrong. And that's not truth.
Right.
That's truth of your own making.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that. On my radio show, I had, and it's a friend of my dad's who they crappie fish and everything together. And I'm actually in his fantasy football league every year, which I got second in this year. Whole different deal.
I did that for 25 years. I miss it, but
he's a clinical psychologist, but he worked in the prison system on death row.
right.
So in the, you know, you see the stuff,
As
right?
real as it gets, right?
But what he said was before he would see, I don't remember the percentage he gave. It wasn't, if it wasn't 100, it would have been in the 90 percentile of people that before, right? He's talking about the instant before they slip into full psychosis, never coming back. They plead out for God, no matter what. Because inside, we all know. You can push that down and you can argue with it and you can do other. But he said, like clockwork every time.
That's the only salvation when the demons come for you. That's the only salvation. The question is, were you too late? You know, did you succumb to evil first?
You know, it's interesting you say that. I was watching an episode on YouTube today from a lady I know, grew up with, and I'd reached out to her on Facebook because she had put something about Jesus on there, and I'd said, hey, I appreciate how outward you are with your faith, because we know that's a hard thing. People come for you every day when you do.
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And just some of the stuff she posts, I'm like, hey, I appreciate that you do that. And then she goes, yeah, check this out, my testimony. And then you talk about demons coming. She's like, she died. She had a heart attack and died, and then saw the demons come for her, and she thought she was saved.
Yeah.
And so just the way you said, that's real life. That's what, I know people, he's crazy. He's weird. Talk about demons and angels. He can think what you want to.
Well,
This is the reality of life right here.
it's like when, people go for Jesus and he goes, I never knew you.
That's exactly
Yeah,
right. I'll send you this episode
Okay.
of her because we're here hitting on something. But back to where we were.
Okay.
Do you need that?
What? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's only the vice chair of the Republican Party calling
Okay,
me.
yeah, go ahead and answer. We'll
Okay.
Okay, we're back. You had to take a pretty cool. The vice chair of the Republican Party of Texas was calling you.
Yeah, she called to tell me she's giving me her endorsement.
Yeah, how cool is that? That's Dorinda Randall for anybody listening. Hello, Dorinda. And the Republican Party of Texas is a huge organization.
Yes.
And making vice chair, she's not a peon.
No, she's not a peon. I've known her for years and years. And it's just like, and it's like out of the blue. She's calling me, going, "Hey, I'm endorsing you. I'm sending my endorsement to my friend Adam. He's going to put it on my
Preferred
website.
listener.
Yeah, and so wow. That's right. God's good.
Yeah.
We're talking about heavy stuff here.
Yeah.
Personal stuff, and then out of the blue, you get a ray of sunshine.
And that's the way it works.
Yeah, it is.
That's the way. Well, that was cool to be a part of right there. Just to, the like I said, the vice chair of the Republican Party called, which through common acquaintances, I've had the chance to meet her and enjoy her and. That's awesome. Well, let's rock and roll. You want to? That's got me fired up.
That was good. I mean, it's like, she's one of the ones Gary Singleton wants to get rid of out of the RPT.
Oh, really? Is he?
Well, yeah. You heard him on stage last week. He goes that the RPT leadership ought to be changed out.
Yeah.
Well, she's part of that leadership, and
I've forgotten about that.
We've worked hard to get grassroots conservatives in power in the RPT.
And they find us on it. Well, there was somebody who put out a statement about needing real Republicans in, and somebody that we both know said, "Oh, they're talking about you because I guess you have libertarian leanings." I'm like, no, that's because I call Republicans out.
Yes,
for being cowards and spineless.
Right.
Because here's the deal, and I know this about you. I think I know this about you. You're not going to serve the party. It's about the people, and it's about the principles.
Absolutely.
And that's basically what you just said in the first part of this interview was it's about the principles.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the establishment.
Yeah. I mean when Glenn Hager wanted to put in a guest workers program way back when, I fought him tooth and nail on that one, because it was not the right way to go at that time. And it's like, so I've crossed swords with Governor Abbott, over border security. Everybody gives him kudos now, but for 10 damn years,
he didn't do anything.
And I yelled at him. I beat on him. I said, you got to do this. And finally, I was just talking to Chris Spencer about interstate compacts for border security. And I go, we've had something out there since 2014.
Well, you saw what Abbott just did.
Oh, yeah. He backtracked on ICE, saying we need to recalibrate.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you why. Because Doc Pete Chambers is knocking on the door.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, that gives the left a victory. Every time we step back and acknowledge that what we're doing is wrong and saying we need to fix ourselves,
no, but
the left is winning.
Hold on, there's this too.
Now you got me back into my fighter mode.
He said, golly, where did this go?
But yeah, it's Abbott. Like I said, I've admired him since day one. He's got the best PR team out there. I mean, when he ran for governor, he had the "Don't tread on me" snake, and that was brilliant because the grassroots. That's when we were starting to rise up and take our own power back. And he saw that and he latched onto it. And he's always done just enough and ride the right issues, even though he doesn't have much follow through. he stays on top of the hot issues
Right.
of the Republican base. And, people go, well, if he said it, he must mean it, and he must be doing something about it. But that's not always the case.
Right. Well, and even with Abbott, golly, I'm sorry, I had to insert a text there. He closed down my family's businesses during COVID.
Yeah.
And I'm still mad about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he closed down churches. He closed down all kinds of things. Now, my Pastor Rob that we were talking about, Abbott did not close his church.
Right.
I talked with Rob many times, but leading up to where Rob did close his church down, and it was because at the time, our church was at that point of where we had more elderly, middle-aged and senior folks in the congregation than we did the youth in there. And he was worried about them. And we didn't know anything about COVID.
Right.
And we were scared that people were going to get sick and they were going to die.
Yeah.
And Pastor Rob, he closed the church and went to the Zoom type of service. After all this stuff was said and done, Rob came to me, he says, I will never, ever do that again. Our doors will never close again.
Right.
They will always be open. I may tell people at risk, don't come.
Yeah, if you're at risk, don't show up.
Watch it on the show, but the door is going to always be open for somebody to walk through if they need it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, exactly, Rob. He learned a lesson.
And we all did.
Yeah, we did. Well, I sold my house during COVID, the
Right.
shutdown. I moved myself from Houston up to DeKalb.
Yeah.
Basically me and a friend, I was going back and forth all the time on that traveling. I mean, everything you weren't supposed to do, I was doing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, you know what? I've got to live my life. And then, I was also thinking about retiring right at about that time. And then NASA goes, you can't come into work, but you have to work from home. I went, okay. And then I figured out, hey, home is anywhere I am.
Right.
So I'm like, I spent 2 years working at NASA longer than I intended to.
Because you could do it from...
Because I could do it from home. And you know what? We were just as effective then.
Yeah.
It's everything has a reason, and people do things because they're presented to them. Now you can sell liquor. You can walk out a store with liquor now.
Drive through.
Yeah, you drive through. You can have it delivered with Uber Eats or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sort of a foreign concept where I live, but
Well, this close to Louisiana,
right.
It's easy to drive to Shreveport and get you to drive through daiquiri. So it made sense when now you can drive through and get one here. I'm like, okay, now we're doing what we need to do.
No, I'm not advocating driving through and driving margaritas.
No, me either.
But
They don't put the straw in it.
I'm just saying, people adapt to things now. And you know what? Businesses stayed open.
Yeah.
Shelley Luther stayed open.
Yeah.
Now she's a state rep. Because public pressure said, why are you throwing this woman in jail for just opening up her hair salon?
Right.
Nancy Pelosi was getting it done.
Yeah, absolutely.
The elites were getting everything they wanted.
Well, that's what they want. That's what that's the whole joke about all this.
Yes.
Even look at the Minnesota riots.
Yeah.
It's all meant to cover up fraud. It's for the elites to do what they want. Let's jump into a few articles and we'll get out here.
Do the political stuff for a change.
Yeah. No, that's okay. It's from Laura Ingram on X.com. Fact: many of the elected Republicans piling on ICE are actually are for some form of immigration amnesty, which is what you were just talking about with Abbott, along with the increasing number of foreign workers. Florida GOP rep says Trump's immigration tactics are hurting our chances at the midterm. What's hurting our chances in the midterm are the Republicans are cowards.
Yeah.
And won't do. Look, we haven't got the SAVE Act yet, which is where you have to be a citizen to vote. We haven't gotten everything we want, and not because of Donald Trump, because of the Republicans are so afraid or so entrenched that they won't just look. We could kill the filibuster in the Senate,
right?
And really, honestly, J.D. Vance could come in and run the Senate because he's the vice president,
right?
And that's his chamber, and he could come in and run it and just shove everything right down everybody's throats, and it would just be over.
Exactly. Now, I was death scrolling on Facebook this morning, and I ran across a thread, a post that says, U.S. Senate, who do you want? Paxton, Cornyn, Hunt, and most people were on there were going Paxton, but a lot of people were going, oh, Cornyn, because he's the only one who can beat Tarico. And I'm like, see, that's what the establishment does. They go, oh no, Paxton may be better, may be more conservative, but Cornyn, he's established and he's the incumbent, he can beat Tarico. They use fear that the Democrats are going to win, so we're going to need to keep our Democrat light Republican in place in order to beat the Democrat. No, I think you beat their strength with our strength. Right. And you don't say, okay, we're going to cave to the middle, we're going to cave to the other side, we're going to adopt their language. Right. People talk about illegal immigration. It's not illegal immigration. It's illegal aliens border crossing. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. It's not immigration. Oh, yeah, immigration is legal. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right.
But we adopt their terms, and they, you go to look at any of our government laws and such, they use the term illegal alien all through it.
Yeah. But or now they just call me
undocumented.
Undocumented,
yeah. And it's like, no, they're not undocumented. Well, they are undocumented, right? But they're illegal aliens first and foremost. Yeah. And you got to treat them as such.
That's exactly.
I'm with Trump. I'm with Holman. I'm with anybody in Texas who wants to do that. I'm still for an interstate compact that will give Texas and any other compact states authority to enforce federal law.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Here's what, talking about illegals and Abbott. This is from Doc Pete Chambers for Texas, who we've had on the show. Yeah. On X.com. It says, after Doc is elected, we will debank illegal aliens, remove their ability to use their federal EBT benefits, and conduct sweeps across the state to detain and remove them from our lands. The federal system can either assist us in solving these problems, or they can watch from the sidelines.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we need. Let's go, baby.
Yeah. I'm there. I had an interstate border compact legislation in the last session.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did. And I tried to shop it around to a representative to do it, even my own. Yeah. Nobody would touch it. They go,
they're afraid of it.
We've already got in the 88th legislative session an interstate compact bill passed. I go, no, you didn't. What you did was you said, Governor, go do it. Right. And you don't have to go to Congress. Well, two things wrong with that. Number one is it takes a state legislation to form a compact, right? Not a governor. Number two, when you're addressing federal law, it has to be approved by Congress, right? So that legislation was stupid, and what it was a head fake from the Republican leadership to the base saying, "Oh yeah, we did this great thing for you." I've tried to do a PIR, public information request, to the governor's office saying, okay, what have you done on it? I got nothing back. In fact, them and the attorney general says, well, you can't, all that information is privileged and you can't see any of it.
Of course it is.
And I'm like, okay, so you've done not a damn thing.
And that's what the Republicans do.
That's right.
That's the issue.
The next legislative session, I'm going to be back with my legislation saying, hey, we still need that interstate compact because we got to be looking at a post-Trump presidency.
Yeah, and we got to be getting ready for that.
We got to get ready for it, and we know what to do. We just got to be allowed to do it. Now, if these cowards in the Texas House and the Senate, in this case, keep ducking this issue, we're going to keep getting screwed. The reason we got Biden for 4 years and an open border was because they didn't act in 2015 when we first proposed the interstate compact, and in 2017 and in 2021 and 2023. We had legislation that we could have done
because the Republicans are do nothing.
That's right.
The Democrats at least tell you who they are. Yeah. Republicans will lie and tell you who you want them to be, but they don't do it.
Or they head fake you and say, "Hey, we did this, and it will solve all your problems."
This is why we need and this is why your county leadership matters
Yes.
because we can hold accountable the people of Texas, the Republicans in Texas. That is, if you've got Republican here, we can take away your funding, we can take you off the ballot. There's many things we can do, but you have to have strong leadership at the grassroots level to hold everybody accountable.
The most important thing about county leadership in the Republican Party is being able to go out there and understand what the truth is and figure out what the facts are and who did what and be able to come back and tell our people what's going on. Knowledge is power. And we got to bring that back to our counties and to our Republican base here in Bowie County and all the other counties, HD1, and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what proposed. This is what happened. This is how it happened. And these guys are the ones that are responsible for it, be them Democrat or Republican.
All right, last article. Okay. This is from Gunther Engelman, and this is and only because we talked about it. GuntherEngelmanX.com. Just in, Majority Leader for Republican Senator John Thune is receiving massive pressure from Republicans, not inside, but maybe inside, but from us, from the people. Massive pressures to bring the SAVE Act for a vote. It's already passed the House. We just need to go through the Senate. It says, call him. He needs to hear from everyone. He's tagged in this post, and the number to his office is 202-224-2321. That's 202-224-2321, or you can just call the Washington, D.C.
Well, explain to your audience what the SAVE Act is again so they understand what they're being called to do.
Yeah, so what that is making it where you have to be a citizen to vote in our elections. We're able to ID you. We're able to not allow you to vote. We're able to check the voter rolls. All of these things are included in the SAVE Act, is my understanding.
And do you know why that's needed? Because let me give you an example. Let's pick a state. Let's pick Minnesota, for instance.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. Did you know that it is state law that any registered voter can come in and vouch on election day for 8 other people to come vote and say, yeah, they're registered, and you have to accept them and let them vote.
So you just gather up everybody you know, and then you're going to go sway the vote.
That's right. You can get illegals, you can get all kinds of people, because as long as you're a registered voter and you can go in there and say, I'm vouching for these 8 people, they have to let them vote. And they do. And you wonder why Minnesota has been blue since the dawn of time.
Right.
That's where, Minnesota, Wisconsin, those places, they're the ones who started the Marxist Party in America.
Yeah.
They do not hold our values. And now we've injected them, even though they were dying out, we injected a whole new ethnic classes in there, like the Somalis and the Muslims in there, and they form alliances with the Blue Democrats. Tell you, these people do not hold anything in common other than power.
Right.
The Islamists, they're against the LGBTQ plus whatever.
For sure.
They're
not welcoming.
They're for a theocracy where the Marxists are not. I mean, they're antithetical to each other, but for the very sake of power and public chaos, they work together.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right. Dale Huls running for Bowie County Republican Party chair.
Zach Ratliff running for
Precinct
11A.
Yeah. Let's make it happen. We're getting close. All right, everybody. I hope God blesses each and every one of you, and I hope you have a great day.
Amen.